What is money, really? Strip it of its numbers, its ink, its metallic gleam, and what remains? A collective agreement, a shared illusion, a myth we've all sworn to uphold. It has no roots in the soil, no breath in the wind, and yet it moves nations, divides families, ignites wars, and dictates self-worth. But beneath its glittering mask lies a haunting truth. Money is not backed by gold, not by effort, not by hours clocked or sweat poured. It is backed by belief. This is the foundation they never wanted you to examine. You were handed a script. Go to school, follow the rules, work until your bones forget how to rest, and maybe, just maybe, you will earn enough to feel safe. But safety was never the goal. Control was. Because a being who believes money is hard to earn will trade freedom for crumbs and call it success. You were conditioned not just to work, but to worship a false god made of paper. You were taught to earn your right to exist through productivity, to equate your time with value.
This week, we're hosting a free trading and investing workshop right here in Irvine. Inside
Value. Your exhaustion with merit. But look closer. How can something so fragile hold so much power? The answer is, it doesn't. You do. Your belief gives it breath. Your fear gives it fangs. Your silence gives it sovereignty over your life. This system was never neutral. It was designed to reward compliance and punish deviation, to glorify grind and vilify ease. You were never meant to question it, only to participate. And so you did, trading time for tokens, sacrificing joy for security, burying your intuition beneath deadlines and debt. You played a game that was never yours, using rules designed to keep you tired, obedient, and perpetually reaching. But here is what they hope you never discover. Value is not inherent in the money itself. It is a projection of consciousness, a story told with conviction until it calcifies into reality. That's why markets crash on whispers and currencies collapse on doubt. Belief is the true economy, and when belief crumbles, so does the system built upon it. This has happened before, and it will happen again, because no matter how fortified the illusion, its foundation is air. This is why the wealthy play by different rules, not because they know more math, but because they understand the game is energetic. They bend reality because they believe they can. They don't ask for permission to receive. They assume it, and that assumption shifts the field around them. You've been told wealth is earned through sacrifice, but in truth, wealth is reflected through certainty, not arrogance, but alignment. The world doesn't pay you for your pain. It mirrors the frequency you emit. The man who walks into a room already knowing he is enough activates a different timeline than the one who arrives asking to be chosen. You are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose, to reclaim the sovereign truth that your value was never in question, that money does not crown you, it responds to you. Not when you beg, not when you strive, but when you remember that it was never outside of you to begin with. The word currency traces its origin to the Latin corruere, to run, to flow. Long before it was paper in pockets or digits on screens, money was a movement, a rhythm, a current meant to circulate like breath, like blood, like water returning to the sea. It was never meant to be hoarded, feared, clutched with clenched fists and anxious minds. It was meant to move, to pass through hands like sacred fire, warming all it touched. But somewhere along the way, the current was captured. It was frozen, tethered, turned into a tool of control. They stopped teaching us how to let it move and taught us instead how to hold our breath. They replaced flow with fear. Governments, corporations, institutions, these are not neutral actors. They are energetic architects. They understood something you were never meant to know, that control over money is control over energy. And if they could convince you to see money as scarce, you'd never notice that the cage was never physical. It was belief, repetition, emotion. You would self-regulate, self-limit, self-sacrifice. You would become your own jailer and call it responsibility. You would fear spending as if every dollar released might be your last breath. But this is not wealth. This is energetic suffocation. Imagine if your lungs behaved that way, inhaling with desperation and refusing to exhale. You would collapse. And this is exactly what has happened to your financial nervous system. You've been trained to inhale money with anxiety and exhale it with guilt. You've been taught that flow is dangerous, that saving is virtue, that spending is sin. But this isn't wisdom. It's a broken circuit. Because when energy stops moving, it dies. Hoarded money carries the same vibration as fear. It sits, stagnates, and begins to decay the field around it. Not physically, but energetically. You may not see it, but your subconscious does. It interprets this as a lack of trust, as a refusal to participate in the divine cycle of give and receive, and so it adapts. Tightens, constricts, shuts down the flow. You might call it a dry spell, a slump, bad luck, but it's none of those things. It is feedback. Your field is echoing the signal you've broadcast. I do not trust the current. And the current, like any stream, responds not to effort, but to openness. You don't force a river to flow, you clear the dam. You don't demand abundance, you prepare to receive it. But modern life mocks this truth. We build dams of debt, walls of worry, systems that teach